81. Stanza 80. Dukhaṃ hinayanti nettika. Come on. Page 81, stanza 80. Right? Dukhaṃ hinayanti nettika. What is wrong with you today? What? Yeah, I'm also one-sided. I take this as page. Page number is here, isn't it? Very funny. Clearly, page number must be here. 76. 76 and stanza 80. Dukhaṃ hinayanti nettika. Usukara namayanti te janaṃ. Daruṃ namayanti taccaka. Attanaṃ damayanti pandita. Dukhaṃ hinayanti nettika. Usukara namayanti te janaṃ. Daruṃ namayanti taccaka. Attanaṃ damayanti pandita. The meaning: irrigators lead the waters, fletchers bend the sand, carpenters bend the wood, the wise control themselves. The Buddha had to recite this particular stanza because of a young novice monk. Very young novice monk, when he was going out with his teacher for his alms round, he saw these three people carry water and make drains to reach here and there to cultivate their paddy. He saw people cut a stick and bend and make bow and arrows. He saw carpenters straightening crooked wood. Then he asked his teacher, if we can straighten these crooked wood and also send water directly toward the paddy field for cultivation, although they are inanimate, so have no mind, still can make use of them. In the same manner, only wise people, attanam damayanti pandita. Pandita means wise people. Only wise people train their own mind, discipline their own mind. The Buddha had to recite this because of that young Samaneras or novice monk's statement. So, we had to take only the last line here, Attanam damayanti pandita. Pandita means learned or wise. Only wise people can do that. Others do not know how to train, discipline, straighten their mind. Our minds are crooked. It's very difficult to straighten. We have crooked ideas. We have wrong ideas and beliefs. We have meaningless concepts and beliefs. We have bad habits by nature. We have evil thoughts. We have a lot of harmful, dangerous or wicked ideas. Now we can understand the nature of the mind. The mind is the most dangerous energy. If not guided properly, trained properly, that mental energy can be misused or abused and destroyed. If it is guided properly, trained and disciplined properly, that mental energy can be used to do wonderful service, to bring peace and happiness and satisfaction and contentment in our life. So whatever we have, whatever enjoyment we have, if the minds are not clear, we are always in trouble, in fear, in suspicion, because mind is not reliable. Our minds are not reliable. I cannot trust my own mind. Therefore, how can you trust others' mind? Certain things that we try not to do by realizing these things are harmful or dangerous or wicked or immoral. But after a few days' time, we change the mind. This is the problem. Uncertainty is there. That is why the mind is unreliable. I cannot trust my own mind. There is no guarantee that I do not change my mind. We promise so many things to do or not to do. Later we change our mind. There are many reasons for us to change the mind. First thing, our temptation. When the temptation is aroused, we lose the controlling power in our mind, then we surrender. On the other hand, when we are irritated or disturbed by others, again we lose the controlling power. So at that time, we can do any nasty or any wicked or dangerous, because no controlling power. These are the two main causes which influence our mind to change our attitude. It is not that due to our ignorance or lack of understanding that we make mistake. We know they are wrong. We know they are bad. We know these things are against our religion. But we have no courage to stop them. So this situation remains in our minds until we attain the first stage of sainthood, Sotapanna. Even after attaining Sotapanna also can make some mistake. See the nature of the mind. But after attaining Sotapanna, the first stage of sainthood, there is a guarantee about our journey future, or the fate, that in future we never become animals. We never go to hell. Can guarantee. Today we cannot guarantee, because the mind is going on changing. We never hold wrong views in future. We are in the correct path. Others cannot influence our mind to change our mental attitude. Now can influence. Today you remain as Buddhist. When some others come and talk to influence your mind, praising, promising the benefit or the advantage that you can gain by accepting another religion, you will change your mind. There is no guarantee. Because your faith or your belief are still very shaky, not established firmly with own conviction. So others can shake or change. After attaining Sotapanna, no one can change. This is an interesting story. I think you have heard earlier. One day, the Buddha visited a very devout Buddhist house and had dana, then gave a sermon. After listening to this sermon, that householder attained the first stage of sainthood. Mara was watching this. You know, Mahara was very unhappy when people become religious-minded. He doesn't like. He liked to see cruel people, wicked people, bad people. So Mahara decided to change his mind. What he did, he transformed himself, his figure, exactly like the Buddha figure. He can do that. There's another interesting story, I think you have heard that. If not, I can tell you later. He came to his house exactly like the Buddha. Came and told him, do you know, earlier I preached something, you accepted, but later I remembered it is wrong. What I told you earlier is wrong. So I came to correct. Then this man said, I don't think the Buddha has two words. If he has said once something, second time he never says he made a mistake. I don't think you are a Buddha. Then the Mahara disappeared. Even Mahara also cannot influence or cannot change the mind of a person who attained the first stage of sainthood. The story, the other one just now I told you, 200 years after the Buddha, there was a well-known preacher in India. When he preached, thousands of people assembled and really tried to adjust their way of life to lead a religious life. Mahara was watching this. More and more people are becoming religious-minded. So he thought, I must change their mind. So what he did, he organized some sort of entertainment, just the opposite of the temple, where these monks preach. So at the same time, he organized beautiful music and dance and entertainment, divine music, not ordinary. Then more and more people turned towards that side. Very few people assembled to listen to the sermon. Then these monks thought that this Mahara disturbed the Buddha also on many occasions, but he did not teach him a good lesson. I must teach him a good lesson. So he also went there. Then joined with the crowd. So he said, yes, wonderful. Your entertainment, remarkable. So in appreciations of your entertainment, I must honor you. So saying, he put a garland on his neck. Oh, Mahara was very proud. Later, he felt this one is tightening his neck like a python. He tried to pull it out, cannot. Slowly tightening this garland. Then he knew that he cannot take it out. Then he went to the Sakra, the king of God, and told him what is happening and asked him to help. He also tried, could not remove this. Then Sakra said, I am sorry, I cannot do this. You must go to Mahabrahma. Because at that time, Mahabrahma was a creator God. So he went to Mahabrahma and requested, please help me. I may die if you don't help me. He also tried, could not take out. Then Mahabrahma told him, you must go back to the same person who put this garland on your neck. He is the only one who can remove this. Then he had to come back to this monk and begged to help him to remove this garland. Then the monk said yes, under two conditions. First thing, that you must promise in future that you are not going to disturb our religious way of life or sermons, allow people to follow their religion. Maharaj said yes. Second condition is, I have not seen the Buddha, because he is living 200 years after the Buddha. You have seen the Buddha. You can represent or you can transform yourself into a Buddha figure. So you must promise to show me the real Buddha figure, how he looked like. Under these two conditions, I will remove this. Maharaj said, yes, it is not difficult for me. Then he removes this one. After that, just appear in front of him. Maharaj said, I can represent here as the Buddha under one condition. When I represented as Buddha, you should not worship me, because I am not a holy man. You are a holy man. Then this monk said, no, I am not going to worship you. Then he represented. So when he saw the real Buddha figure, straight away he bowed down like this and worshipped. Then Maharaj shouted, you promised that you do not worship me. Then the Reverend said, you must understand, I did not worship Mara. I worshipped the Buddha. The deep meaning of this story. When people come and condemn, criticize you, that you worship idols, you worship stones, and you do not know how to safeguard, how to justify. That is what this monk said. He said, I do not worship you, I worship the Buddha. So we do not worship images, idols or stones. We worship the Buddha. The image is to recall Buddha into our mind. We take this as a symbol to recall, then the Buddha appeared in our mind. We create the Buddha figure in our mind because of this symbol. The one who enjoyed by admiring the beauty of the Buddha. The Buddha said, you cannot see the real Buddha through this physical body. This body is not the Buddha. When you see the Dhamma taught by the Buddha, through this Dhamma you can understand, you can see the real Buddha. Because we create the real Buddha in our mind through our understanding, knowledge and wisdom, appreciation. Not the metals or stones as the Buddha. So now this is not the Buddha. This is a symbol or artist impression created by the artist. But when you look at this symbol, if you can remember the great virtues, qualities, knowledge, wisdom, purity, perfection, compassion, enlightenment of the Buddha, then we create the real Buddha in our mind. Why? The Buddha says, whenever you have fear in your mind, reflect. Anusaretha sambuddham. Reflect or remember the Buddha at that time. Whenever you have fear in your mind, then you create the Buddha figure in your mind. So when that image of the Buddha, your mental image of the Buddha, appear in the mind, the fear disappears. For your protection, for your safeguard, to get rid of your fear, remember the Buddha at that time. In Dhajagga Sutra, he said, Bhuta Bubbang Bhikkhave Devasura Sangamo Samupabbulo Aho. Long ago, there was a war between Devas and Asuras. Asuras are very, very wicked, very powerful. At that time, Sakra, the king of God, advised the Devas, whenever you have fear in the battlefield, remember those 4 guardian gods, Devas. Those people strongly believe that there are 4 guardian Devas or God who are watching and who can protect if people communicate with them. Remember them. If not, remember the Sakra, the king of the Devas. Then your fear disappears. Then the Buddha said to his disciples, Sakko bhikkhave devanamindo avita rago, avita doso, avita moho bhiru achambi utrasi phala. Sakra, the king of God, is not free from craving, anger, ignorance and fear. He is not free from all these things. Although they take refuge in him for their protection, you must understand they are not pure. No doubt they have some worldly powers, but the nature of these devas and sakras, that they are not holy. Tathagato bhikkhave araham samma sambuddho vitarago vitadoso vitamoho abhiru achambi. The Tathagata Samma Sambuddha is free from craving, free from anger, free from ignorance or illusion, and he has no fear. There are only two human beings in this world who have no fear in their mind. All the others have. He said, when lightning strikes, only two persons on this earth never experience fear. They have no fear because of that. All the others get when lightning strikes. He said, among human beings, or the Buddha or Arhantas, they have no fear because they have no craving. They have no craving towards their body or life, therefore no fear. But we have craving. Because of that craving, fear. Now we have fear of death because we have craving. But Arhantas and Buddhas have no fear for death. They are waiting for that, to get rid of their burdens of this. To them this is a real burden, nuisance. Amongst animals, he said there is only one, the king of the beast in the jungle, lions. The lion thinks that there is nobody to disturb him. Because of that pride, he doesn't create fear in his mind. That is ignorant. He doesn't know that. He is wrong, although he does not create fear in his mind, he is wrong. So there are who can disturb him. So here what the Buddha says, when you take refuge for your protection, the devas, you have to think. Devas are not free or holy or perfect, but they have some worldly powers. The Buddhas are completely free from craving, anger, ignorance, and they never experience any kind of fear. Through the power of these great qualities and virtues, we gain some sort of protection. That is how we can get rid of fear, by taking refuge. It works because when we take refuge, when we have fear, we strengthen our mental energy. Then we develop some sort of confidence in our mind. Then the fear and worry reduce by taking refuge. This is the nature of our mind. So we are in fear. So we need so many things to guard, to protect us. Our ignorance is very strong, very deep. Because of this, we create a lot of imagination in our mind. And we do not know many of these natural occurrences, how they take place. Say, few hundred years ago, or few thousand years ago, human beings started to worship and pray to all those unknown forces because of fear. To them, rain also God, wind also God, sun also God, moon also God, thunder, lightning also God. They play football. Devas in the sky. They say they are fighting, thunder and stone, because they do not know what is happening. And rainbow, they created their own imagination. Earthquake, volcanic eruptions, they do not know actually what is happening. For everything they start to worship and pray, do some offering and joysticks and all sorts of things. They still continue. That is real ignorance. Today, scientific discoveries enlightened us to understand the nature of many of those natural occurrences. Therefore, we have reduced our praying and worshipping to all these things. But the fear still remains because of craving, the other side, ignorance. These two things. Always in fear. When we cannot understand why there are certain sicknesses, why there are some disturbances at home, why there's a business failure, they cannot understand anything. Straight away they think this is due to evil spirit or devils or ghosts or charms or black magic. The primitive man's belief, still we maintain. Very difficult to get rid of this belief. The more weaker we are, the more we maintain this belief. This is the nature of our mind. That's what this young novice monk, having seen even crooked piece of wood also we can straighten and make use of them. Why not we train this crooked human mind and straighten this mind and try to maintain some sort of peace? There is no peace at all. always in fear, if not some sort of suspicion in our mind. Suspicious mind create lot of problems, create enemies. We suspect so and so might have done all these things. Then create enemies. The main purpose of this religion, especially Buddhism, is to analyze the nature of human mind, not for any other purpose. The Buddha says, if you know how to analyze this mind, if you know how to get rid of weaknesses from your mind, if you know how to develop, cultivate mental energy in your mind, this mental energy can control certain natural occurrences also. Because mental energy becomes more energetic force. Planets, astrology says, some of these planets, suns and the moons and Jupiter and Venus and Saturn and all these, Saturn, these planets can influence us. Yes. We experience only two, sun and the moon. We experience. In fact, if there is no sun, there is no life here on this earth. Life cannot exist. Sun and moon, just like father and mother. For life to exist. Cosmic energy. Sun influences the whole body. Moon influences the fluid in our body, blood and fluid, flame. You might have seen there are so many cases during the full moon period, asthmatic cases. Those who suffer from asthma aggravate, increase during the full moon period. Because moon stirs the fluid. Those who have some mental problems, everybody knows this. That is why it is called lunatic. Luna means moon. So one who suffers from some sort of mental imbalance, is called lunatic. Moon influences the fluid in the brain. Then the brain cells cannot balance properly. Then people start to talk or laugh or dance, and not natural. If not talk a lot. High tide and low tide, full moon day, full moon period. Everybody knows this. And certain flowers, certain fruits, certain plants, how the moon can influence. Farmers knew this thousands of years ago. The time for their cultivation, suitable or certain period where they cannot see the good. Then the other planets influence different part of our body. our mouth, our eyes, our throat, our lungs, our stomach, the whole body, here and there. And astrologically work out and work, and why you are suffering from this stomach complaint, why you suffer from this tonsillitis, why you suffer from this headache, why you suffer from this back pain. Because the time when that person was born, where this particular planet was, how this planet influenced this particular person, even plant. These are under cosmic energy. Those who cannot understand, introduced as God, Devas. So, the Buddha's attitude toward this, the whole world accepted. These planets can influence what the Buddha said. Attho atthasya nathattam kinkarisanti taraka. Taraka means those stars or planets. If our minds are very strong, energetic, intelligent, those planets become powerless to influence. Because this mental energy can act just like satellites. When this country sends satellite to another country, and they send another satellite and halfway disturb the others, exactly like satellite. Energy. That is what the Buddha said. Mental energy can topple the cosmic energy if you develop it. Christian, at the beginning, ridiculed or did not believe that astrology is true, this is wrong. Later, there was a well-known Christian saint, St. Thomas Aquinas. He said, planet can influence our body, physical body, but not the mind. He is right. The Buddha has said this earlier. He said, when the mind is energetic, the planet can influence the mind. Mental development, you can understand the real validity, real values of mental development. How we can face, how we can challenge, how we can topple all the other external forces, devils and ghosts and hunters and spirit and planet. We can topple all these things. When the mind is weak, that mind is just like a dustbin. Everybody go and put more and more rubbish there. That means everybody can disturb us. Animals also disturb, devils also disturb, spirit and ghosts also disturb, planet also disturb, because the mind is weak. So the main purpose of Buddhism actually to give some ideas for people to develop their mind, strengthen their mind, to create understanding in their mind. But we started only worshipping, praying, chanting and ceremonies and rites and rituals, and we have introduced these things. But we do not concentrate or we do not think the main purpose of this religion is to train our mind, to develop our mind, not for any other purpose. So when we strengthen and develop, we can avoid, escape all the external forces which affect us, disturb us. When we develop our knowledge and understanding and wisdom according to this religion, then we know what is happening in this world, why these occurrence incidents take place. When we purify our mind, then we will be free from sufferings and worries and miseries and all the problems. Purity of the mind. 3 aspects. But all the necessary guidance, advices given by the Buddha. When you analyze 45 years teaching, what he discussed related to our mind, how to handle with this mind, how to control, how to calm this mind. But we never think. Only we take about certain external activities as religious practices. We are willing to spend millions of dollars thinking that we are practicing religion. Achara sanghata mattam piche bhikkhave bhikkhu mettam chittam bhaveya. Here the Buddha says. If you can concentrate at least for a few seconds by radiating your real compassion or metta towards another person, the merits or the blessing or the good effect that you gain, you cannot gain by spending even $1 million by doing some other way. You have nothing to spend. Reduce your jealousy, reduce your anger, reduce your enmity, reduce your ill will. Then radiate your compassion, your metta, loving kindness, your sympathy towards other living beings. The merit that you gain within that few minutes or few seconds is higher than all the other meritorious deeds that you are for. This is the Buddha saying. But we have neglected all these things. When we are just sitting down or lying down, what do we think? Without allowing this mind to bring all sorts of external ideas, subject matters to think. If you can stop all these things and concentrate few minutes by radiating this sympathy and kindness and compassion, this mental vibration radiates. In Chakravarti Sihanada Sutra, one particular discourse given by the Buddha, the scientists can understand that. but not ordinary people. He said, wicked, cruel, dangerous human mental vibration influence the element in this world. Then the imbalance of these elements, clashes of these elements take place because of that. Human mind is responsible even for disasters, natural occurrences. Now let us take today 5,000 millions on this earth, human beings. 5,000 millions. Now what these people are thinking on this earth? What sort of evil, cruel, wicked, harmful thought they radiate to the atmosphere? All over the world, violence, bloodshed and killing and hatred and ill will. How many people are there to sit down and radiate and may they all be well and happy? To think in this way, how many human beings are there? No. That is why all are in fear. All are in the battlefield because of this mental attitude. So we have gone very far away from the religious way of life. Too much of selfishness, too much cunningness, everywhere bluffing and cheating and stealing and smuggling. That crooked human mind. Selfishness influence the mind, force our mind to do all these wicked things. Then how can we expect peaceful life in this world? There may be very few people who want to live peacefully without harming or disturbing or without creating evil thoughts. But others disturb their mind also. No chance. So here in this book Dhammapada, I think 75% of the sayings of the Buddha concentrated for mental training and discipline and purity. Otherwise there is no religion. Simply we can say we are religious because we pray and worship and worship. For what purpose? Craving is behind in your prayer. Craving is behind in your worshipping. For what purpose? Why do you want to pray? But when you radiate your metta, your kindness, your sympathy, without creating cruelty or selfishness in the mind, then you also become healthy. Then allow others also to live peacefully. So their method of practicing religion is wrong. Religion is not for us to pray or worship. Religion is for us to be good. Without that there is no religious life. Do good also not very difficult. You can help others, support others. Do good. But to be good, not so easy. You have to think very deeply. You must have strong willpower and conviction and understanding to be good. You must have controlling power to be good. Otherwise, no use. Atta datthaṃ parathena bahuna pinaha paye. Another saying of the book. You want to help others, support others, assist others by doing all sort of cunning or wicked or cruel or harmful method. Idea is to support others, help others, or support my family. The Buddha's saying is, even to support others, you have to do that without harming yourself. Without harming means without creating bad thoughts in your mind. By force you can take from others to support. Stealing, bluffing, swindling, cheating, smuggling, you can help others. You harm yourself first. Then support others. That is not the religious way of life. I remember a lady who was smuggling ganja was caught at the airport. And she was asked, why do you want to smuggle these things? You see, I sell all these things and make money and support my religion, to introduce my religion. Missionary work. See how they try to introduce religion, religious way of life. So, there are many things for us to learn about our own mind before we learn so many other external. Why we cannot control our mind? Why we cannot create good thoughts in our mind? Why always we create bad thoughts and selfish ideas? Why we cannot tolerate others' progress or enjoy? Why do we maintain jealousy for nothing? Although we won't get anything, we cannot tolerate many things, so we develop jealousy. Why do we want to ridicule, criticize, accuse, condemn others' way of doing things or their way of life? Although they are not wrong, we must pass remarks, say something. Many people have caustic soda in their mouth. The words come out from their mouth, got caustic effect. They cannot appreciate certain things what others do. Must say something to criticize. These are our weaknesses. We create very bad atmosphere because of this attitude. Through this understanding, then we try slowly, step by step, as much as possible, to train ourselves not to interrupt or not to interfere too much with others' affairs. Try to do some service to others to reduce their fear and worries and disturbances. And at the same time, don't forget to be good. To be good, you must be kind. You must be honest. You must have tolerance. You must have some sort of understanding. Then people regard that you are good. To do this, not necessary to spend even 1 cent. Without spending anything, you can develop this noble way of life. But to many people it is very difficult, but willing to spend even few $100,000, never mind, we will give you 100,000. No use. This understanding must be there in our mind. We must know why we are here actually and what we are doing and what do we gain in the end. We are going on struggling and running here and there and doing this and that, and after a certain age, then cannot get up, cannot talk, cannot hear, cannot see, cannot remember, cannot eat, cannot sleep. That we gain in the end. That is the reward we have. Then grumbling. After that, kick the bucket. So the family members, go on burning paper, joystick and pay, and carry this and burn and carry the ashes. And some people keep in the pagoda, some others throw into the water. I really cannot understand why they won't throw into the water. No religious significance at all. They want to go far distant, Port Dickson and Port Tottenham, hire some sort of the boat and go and throw into the sea these ashes. What significance is there? I cannot understand. Because there is Indian mythology, started thousands of years ago, that river Ganges, regarded as a holy river, start from the Ishvara's turban, Shiva, God. Start from Shiva God's turban, then goes down, again goes back. So when you throw the dead people's ashes into that particular river, many people throw dead bodies completely, not ashes. You can see every day dead bodies are floating. I was there in Benares for 5 years, I have seen. Every day dead bodies they throw into that river. And many others after burning throw ashes. So they believe these ashes go to Shiva, God's turban. From there going to heaven. So this traditional belief, others also, I think, borrowed from them and still go on throwing into the water. Mr. Nehru, they are wise people, Prime Minister of India. He has written in his last will, nobody knew, even his daughter Indira Gandhi also never knew. He has written. First he said, if I can die while I am working, I will be the happiest man. I don't like to die as a sick man in the bed. While I am doing something for the country or people, if I can die, I feel very much better. Anyway, he died suddenly, hemorrhage. brain hemorrhage. He has written in his last will, please do not perform any religious rites and rituals for my funeral. I don't believe. Burn my body, collect the ashes, throw these ashes in a paddy field. A poor farmer will be benefited. It's a fertilizer, very good fertilizer. Why not to advise your family members also to collect these ashes and throw into a paddy field? Of course, if you put some other paddy field, you had it, you know. They think you have done some charm, you know. At least something. Now after my death and burning my body, collect my ashes. If you can bury under this chiku tree, I will be very happy. There will be more nice sweet chiku trees put in this tree. All rubbish ideas, you know, silly ideas we maintain that. What are those actually? Piece of bone turned into ashes? For that also we must have something, either put in a stop of a pagoda or throw into the water. These are real, what you call, silly ideas from the Buddhist point of view. But still we maintain these things. Anyway, it's a very meaningful sayings of the Buddha for us to learn how to develop this mind, how to straighten this mind for our own benefit. But we cannot do this without doing some service to others. If you are selfish to be good, it doesn't work. We had to do some service to others to release their suffering, disturbances and fear and worries. To do that, we must have kindness, understanding, sympathy, good qualities. This is the way how to develop.